Hey, we're
Hey, yay.
we're trying to act less surprised every time. It seems like we've been surprised every time we've gone live.
Well, there's no countdown on this one.
That's
Be
right.
Live gave us a countdown. There's no countdown on this one.
That's right. So, welcome everybody to another
Wait,
episode
what?
of the
Oh,
Bearded
hold
Men
on.
of Real Estate. What's happening?
My microphone hit my microphone stand hit my volume and turned it all the way down. Well, don't do that.
Oh, okay, there. So, yeah, welcome everybody to the Bearded Men of Real Estate show. I'm Ray, and this is Dan. Say hi, Dan,
Hi, Dan.
and let's high five.
Ready?
Oh man, we were practicing early. We're trying to get it. It's impossible. 1, 2, 3. All right. Never mind. So if you can't tell, we're real estate professionals.
Yeah, you probably can't tell from this interaction.
We do a ton of business, but we do this little podcast show. And we're trying to actually get it back on the podcast. More news on that later. But we do the show because we want to add value to you guys. And one of the ways that we've done that is through this little slogan. Well, I guess one of the ways that we've focused on that is through a little slogan called Listen, Learn, Love. And today is the last day to order t-shirts.
Zit.
So Tom Tezek's already checking in. He's like, I guess he caught our high five mistake. Marley Presswood's in. Hey, Marley, how are you?
Hi, Marls.
Thanks
Marls
for checking
Barls.
in. So today's the last day to order the t-shirts. Let me get the t-shirt link for everyone. This is the I have it on a little type form. Everyone who's ordered a shirt already does not need to order another shirt. If you haven't got the confirmation, that's because we're going to send them all today and tomorrow. So if you've ordered a shirt and put it in, you should receive a confirmation for your shirt today and tomorrow. So far we've already hit the minimum orders on this one. So we are ready to rock. All we need to do is hit go, and they will all be printed and then mailed out to you guys.
Well, and you guys you want to make sure that you're supporting a good cause, don't you? You don't want to be one of those people that don't support a good cause. So
yeah. It's all about the cause.
Yeah, you want to make sure.
Okay, there it is. I just posted a link there, type form. So we are going to give all the proceeds away. We're not going to keep anything. The goal is for us to give it, and it kind of depends on how much money we get from it, depending on what we can do with it. But the goal is more or less to give to an organization that serves those that are underprivileged, preferably in the Black community. Given all the race riots and all that stuff, we just kind of wanted a way to give back. And we've been talking about for like a year and a half a black on black t-shirt. And this would be the perfect opportunity for that, or the perfect use, I guess you could say, for that. So Michael Elizabeth Brodell says that the producers should have figured out high fives better.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
Yeah. Because we have an intense team of
crack team
producers.
Of engineers in the back.
Chad Priest checking in.
Hey, what's up, Chad? So Chad is the one that introduced me to the new system that we're going to be using probably in a month or two. So I'm super excited about it. We're on the StreamYard temporarily, but he's got vMix, and it is solid looking. It looks really, really nice.
Nice.
All right. So we have a ton of headlines to talk about. We're going to talk about John Legend and his recent comments that got realtors in hot water. And we're going to talk about Keller Williams Group no longer being able to use certain verbiage. We're going to talk about master bedrooms or not master bedrooms. But we're also going to talk about some economic issues, like recent data on pending home sales. We've had a recent spike, so we'll talk about that. Mortgage applications are down. But before we get into all this news and everything that's going on, Melissa Marr is going to check in. So she's going to say hi. But Dan, before we get into all that stuff, would you tell everyone what Be More is actually all about?
I'd love to. Now, when Ray and I met on the interwebs, here about 3 years ago, I think at this point, maybe more.
Maybe more, yeah.
Might be more. I had already had an idea for a show because I am, in fact, at this point, the Rona beard, I have not trimmed this thing in a while, and I'm not gonna. So I'm a very bearded man of real estate. And when I met Ray, I noticed something very interesting about him.
Mm-hmm.
He only drives Mini Coopers. Did you know that? Did you guys know that?
I do love a good Mini Cooper.
Yeah. Very large man, tiny car. But not the new ones, the old ones from the 60s.
You know what's interesting about some of the smaller cars? They actually fit bigger people better because it sacrifices back seats. And so like I used to drive a little sports car and I could like lay back in it. It was so nice.
Oh yeah.
But it was like the back seat was there just for insurance purposes.
Yeah, same thing. And also back then, I had what was it? It was like an 89 Honda Civic hatchback, and that car fit me and my drums, and I could lean all the way back, 6'3" with a mohawk, and I could fit all in that car. This tiny, about that high off the ground, just zooming around. But now they have all these regulations, and you got to have like bumpers and safety features. It's really silly. But
Well, that's what I said, like a fat guy in a little coat, but big man in a little car.
Big man in a little car.
The reboot.
Yeah. Lots of reboots going on, which I'm not going to mention because I almost got myself in hot water, apparently. Anyway, we're going to put a pin in that one. But no, Ray had a layout for the show, and it's the same layout we do today. So we we combined our Wonderbeard powers, and we created the show that you see today. But what I also noticed that he loves giving value up front as an agent, and so do I. But it's more about it's being more than an agent, or being more as an agent is being more as a human.
Yeah. And one of the ways we do that is by sharing with you guys some of the latest real estate headlines and what's going on in the real estate market, so that you can be more informed whenever you visit with your clients or even other agents. It seems like every week I say this. I think I have said it every week, but even this week, some of the articles that we're going to talk about today came up in casual conversation and helped me get clients. So it happens almost every week. David checks in. He says, "G'day, mate."
Dude, and this can't happen because then
Freddie said, "Dudes, I had a dream last night that Ray showed up to an event and it took a moment, and then I realized he shaved his beard off and started crying and quit the team." That would happen, that she would quit the team, but I'm more flattered that she had a dream and I was in it. That's pretty funny.
No, I think she means you started crying and quit the team.
Beard and started crying. He shaved off his beard and started crying and quit the team. No, she said, then I realized he shaved off. So she was
okay.
crying and quit the team. I think she would cry. Her and my kids would cry.
Well, and so would I. We couldn't have a show anymore. Just be the bearded man of real estate.
Well, I mean, just change one letter and you'd still have a show.
Yeah. The bearded man
of real estate and the other guy.
Yeah, the bearded Dan of real estate and Ray.
There you go. Are you ready to get into the headlines?
Absolutely. Producers, cue
it. Let's do it.
That wasn't us. That's the producers cueing a pre-recorded roll. Yeah.
We're really, really good at this.
Very high tech.
So one of the things, I guess, before I get into this part, I should share my screen so that you guys can see the t-shirts. There it is. All right. So those are the t-shirts. If you want to order the t-shirts, I put the link to the type form in the chat. The reason why we're using Typeform and not some fancy thing with Stripe, I was going to sign up for all that stuff to make it easier for you guys just to pay through that, but we didn't do it because it costs like $500. And I'm not going to spend money that we could be giving away in order to get money to give away. That just doesn't make sense. So that's why we're using the Typeform, because it's free. All right. Anyway, get there and order a t-shirt.
And if you've already ordered some, order more in different sizes for your family and friends.
Oh, good point. You could totally order more.
Totally.
Okay, so let's look at the pending home sales. So this is an interesting read. If you guys have been following us in the past, you know that we've been talking a lot about the pending home sales. We've been talking a lot about what's going on in the market post-corona and keeping tabs. So this one is an interesting article. Pending home sales spike a record 44.3% in May as home buyers rush back to the housing market. So as you can see, this article is from CNBC.
It's gonna be May.
Rundown. Oh, wait, hang on. I'm sharing the wrong thing. I need to share the actual. Hang on. Sorry, new system. I need to share the actual Chrome tab. There you go.
There we go.
I was going to. You don't want to read my summary. It's far less pretty. Okay, so according to the National Association of Realtors, we just saw the largest 1-month spike in pending home sales ever. It's 44.3% above the previous month, April. Think about that. This is the largest spike ever in the history since they started. The previous highest spike was only 15%. So sales were still 5.1% below May of 2019, but this is a good sign for sellers, buyers, agents, and the economy in general. This has been a spectacular recovery for contract signings and goes to show the resilience of American consumers and the evergreen desire for home ownership, said Lawrence Yoon of the National Association of Realtors. He's chief economist there. I almost said it wrong.
I almost got you.
I almost honestly said it wrong too.
I've been planting that seed for years. Economist.
So he also goes on to say that the bounce back also speaks to how the housing sector could lead the way for broader economic recovery. The market, however, still needs more supply. You noted. Still more home construction is needed to counter the persistent underproduction of homes over the past decade. The current issue is still on the supply side, with inventory being 19% lower than the same time last year, and single-family starts are still low though building permits are picking up. So it's good news on the building permits. I mean, that shows the future of housing starts looks promising. It's also really interesting that inventory is 19% below what it was last year, but pending home sales is only 5% below what it was last year.
Right. So what does that mean?
So you have a buyer who is willing to buy something that last year they may not have been willing to buy.
Yeah, and that means then less inventory.
Right. Tom Cheesack says many of the mainland second home markets are also blowing up per post in the resort and second home on Facebook.
So let's ask him, because how is his? Because he's in Maui or Oahu, I forget.
Maui. Well, tell us how the market is doing in Maui. I know it's a second home market. I'm assuming you primarily work like vacation homes, second homes, if you're in a destination like that. But I don't know. Maybe there's just a lot of people moving around the island.
No, he said that before, and then it had. Yeah.
David said, "Come in tie dye." This one does not come in tie dye, so it's black on black. However, we do have some new shirts in the works for the Bearded Men of Real Estate. So we may do some fun colors for that.
But Tom has previously said that his market was not dried up, but all but essentially dried up, or it had slowed down. So I'm curious to see, with things opening up and things relaxing and people getting more comfortable with what's going on, especially there you go. So there's his update right there if you want to bring it up, Ray.
He said Maui, slow due to quarantine, but we're expecting a huge surge when the island opens back up August 1st.
There you go.
Yeah, we were talking about all the second home markets and what was happening. I guess it was 2 shows ago. We were talking about some of them being gobbled up and other larger entities buying some of the second homes in order to rent out. Tom said we currently have escrows, mostly people buying sites. Sight unseen?
Either sight unseen or just property. Because I heard about a lot of that, where the people just buying property and then they're building on it down the road. Maybe he means that.
Site. Oh, he said they currently have 8 escrows. There it is.
Oh, I see 8 escrows. Sight unseen. There you go.
Tom's in a hurry today. You got to slow down, man. You're in Maui.
I know. You got to go with that chill lifestyle and just chill. We got time.
I think it's 4 hours behind me, 5 hours, 4 hours behind you, maybe. I think
he's 3 behind me, so 5 behind you.
Yeah, he's 3 behind you. All right.
So it's
still early in the morning for him. He needs a little coffee.
It's 7:30 there now.
Melissa Mara says there's about 45 homes in the waterfront neighborhood right now listed normally this time of year. It's more than double. Wow. So there's a lot of inventory there. Oh, I see what you're saying.
Opposite.
Normally during this time of year, it's more than double that number. I thought you were saying that now it's more than double. Okay. So sorry, I misread that. So there's only 45 homes. Usually it's over 90. So it's a super restricted inventory.
Yeah, and on our next story, if you want to transition to the next story, I did run quick numbers just in my city, so it kind of mirrors what she's saying there.
Okay.
But real estate home prices heated up in April, so this one's a couple months behind, but it's just the numbers that take a while to come out. But despite a brief sales drop, now this one's from CNBC. Home prices strengthened in April despite a national economic shutdown and a sharp drop in home sales due to the Rona. Remember, I call it the Rona, nothing else. Prices for existing homes rose 4.7% compared with April 2019, and up from 4.6% the previous month, according to the S&P CoreLogic Case-Shiller National Home Price Index. That is a mouthful to say. Price gains have been accelerating since autumn. It's my dog's name. Cities with the strongest annual price gains were Phoenix, Seattle, and Minneapolis. They reported increases of 8.8%, 7.3%, and 6.4% respectively. 12 of the 19 cities reported higher price increases in the year ending April 2020 versus the year ending March 2020. This is a quote. This is from Craig Lazara. He's the managing director of the indices. April's housing price data continue to make remarkable. Hold on. April's housing price data continues to be remarkably stable. So there's a typo in the comment there, or in the quote. The price trend that was in place pre-pandemic seems so far to be undisturbed, at least at the national level. So my current numbers. So if I went back, so these numbers are a couple months old, just because it takes a while to catch up. So I did current numbers. So I went 1 month back from today, and then I did June 1st to July 1st of 2019. So a year ago, Ray, there was 170 closes in that month and a $570,000 average price. Remember, this is just my city. This year, so a month ago from today, 30 days ago from today, 133 closes. So what is that? That's 20% less closes. Isn't that? Yeah, 170 down to 10% would be 17, 20% would be 34. So roughly that's about 18 or so percent less closes. And the average sales price is 582. So it's up 12 grand, which is 1%, 2.5% higher.
So here's something we haven't discussed much. Jason Bates checking in. He said those numbers will probably change for Seattle in the coming months. Thank you, Chop. So if you haven't been following, there's like a part of Seattle that's taken over.
Is that
Did you?
Is that where they like no cops and no nothing? It's their own little thing. Yeah, and
they're like, hey, we're going to create the ultimate free society within this part of Seattle, but the only problem with it is none of them are free. They're like, check your ID if you want to buy bread or something. Like, it's like.
Right. It's like well, and also, and there's
it's not the utopia that they were hoping for.
No. And the things that I've read is that crime is rampant and things are going out of control because why? There's no cops.
There's no cops.
What'd you think was going to happen?
Mm-hmm.
Have you not watched Walking Dead? Negan gets away with everything. He does whatever he wants.
We've all watched the movies. We know how this ends. Yeah. So in our market, it's been interesting too. We have seen an increase in a lot of prices. People are buying over list. Homes are selling very quickly, and it's unusual in our market. I mean, usually the average days on market in our area was 60 to 90 days, and we do not count the time under contract. So it was 60 to 90 days to go under contract, and now the average is still around 40. I did numbers last month, so the average was 40. But our average is down to just a couple of weeks or a couple of days in most cases. So
that's crazy, especially because the entire length of this show, it's always been that same kind of higher average than most cities across, because remember, we're world famous, but your average has always been a little higher.
Right.
So it's crazy that it's down to weeks and days. That's just crazy.
Speaking of demand, we could see a slowdown in all this craziness that we've been talking about so far.
Well, if CHOP keeps going on,
if it expands,
I don't think it will.
It was interesting. CNBC said mortgage demand falls for the second straight week, signaling a potential slowdown in the housing recovery. I haven't felt the slowdown yet. I have warned my sellers that it could be slowing down, and to get there as soon as possible. Get it on the market as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So we've discussed the surge in mortgage applications over the last several months, and it looks like they may be slowing down as far as the mortgages go. They fell for the second straight week, down 1% from the previous week, though purchase volume was 15% higher last year. Or wait, I'm sorry, I misread that. Though purchase volume is 15% higher than last year, not was. But that gap is closing. So the weakening activity of the potential can potentially signal the pent-up demand that's starting to wane and the low housing supply limiting productive buyers' options, said Joel Kahn, MBA economist, Mortgage Bankers Association. The average purchase application loan size, increased to a record high in our survey. More proof that tight inventory conditions are leading to faster price growth, which is kind of what we were just talking about. Mortgage rates fell even lower at the start of this week, making yet another record low, making June the best month in history of the mortgage market.
Yeah, and for us, every buyer we have, or every buyer I have personally, that's in escrow right now had to go at asking or above. That's just what's happening. Except for one, I got in 13 grand under asking. I don't know how I did that. Wow. There's not some formula that I have, not some magic thing, but it just happened. I always say it that I look at every single house like its own market. Even if you have two exact same homes built exactly the same way, the exact same year and everything, those sellers are going to have different motivations. And this seller, the house really wasn't overpriced. It was just it's a unique house on a big plot of land, and but it's a great house. You guys have seen the picture because everyone follows me, right? Although going back to my controversy, I think I probably lost some friends, but anyway, whatever, it's fine. It's just Facebook, doesn't matter. But it's a great house. It's just really unique, and we got it into escrow quite a bit under, which is a unique situation in this current market.
Melissa Mars said she got one less, $5K less than list on the waterfront. And Tom Tezek says, world famous.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, just Maui alone. I mean, that's a different part of the world. There you go.
Okay.
Famous.
So it looks like the housing market might start signaling a slowdown. We have an article in a little bit that we're going to talk about a V or W-shaped recovery. But given all of that information, there's something brewing or looming, I guess you could say, using a word from last week, for the San Francisco rent market.
Well, and this also kind of goes into, it makes me really think about Ray's markets, because Little Rock has, metropolitan areas, but Ray's a little bit further out. So I'm curious to see how this story affects, because it'll be lagged a little bit, if San Francisco is leading this. But San Francisco apartment rent prices are dropping fast. New monthly data from apartment rental platform Zumper. I just like saying Zumper. In fact, I took the CEO's name and any quotes out of it just so I could say Zumper more. And by the way, this article is from CNBC. But this data from Zumper shows San Francisco rents were down nearly 12% year over year in June. So these are current stats, making the city's decline the largest in the nation and a record slide for Sam Francisco. I just call it Sam Clams Disco. If you guys don't know me, I make up funny names for different states and things. So anyway, it's also the second consecutive month San Francisco rental prices have dropped, says the company. According to Zumper, the median rental price for a one-bedroom apartment in San Francisco, one bedroom, fell 11.8% year over year from. Go ahead, Ray. Do you have the story up?
Yeah, I got it up.
Okay. Are you showing it? I'm not watching. Okay. So you guys can see right there. Year over year, 11.8%. It fell from one bedroom apartment, $3,700 for a one bedroom, down to $3,200, beating May's 9% drop. The survey also reports a 1% uptick in national rents. So think about that. A 12% dip in San Francisco from 37 to 3,200. National uptick of 1% up to 1,200. So 1,200 is the national average. 3,200 is now the San Francisco average. Is there a problem? So what does this mean overall? So the new numbers reflect prices in June, just weeks after Twitter and Facebook announced many employees currently working from home during the Rona could continue to do so permanently. What is happening? My cats are losing it, of course. As many tech workers in San Francisco mull their newfound geographic freedom, the city's real estate market is rapidly changing. So more ability to work from home means that many employees can now look for homes outside of the metro areas, as commute would no longer be an issue. So does this further prove what we've been talking about, Ray, on the show? And now the commute's no longer a problem. So they're just going to work from home, and they can afford, I mean, if you can afford $3,700 a month in rent, you can afford a $3,000 home payment and live wherever you want.
You can get like a what, $700,000-$800,000 house in Arkansas for that easy.
Yeah, and work from wherever. So if you work for Facebook, you could move to Arkansas outside Little Rock and be in a great area and work from wherever you want.
Melissa Mara says max exodus equals lower rent, and she also asked, when are you cats not freaking out? Elizabeth Riddell says, whoa, rent decreases, sucks for investors, sucks for motivation to buyers to make that transition. Sucks for investors, sucks for motivation to buyers.
So what she's saying is, if rents are going down in San Francisco, it's cheaper to rent than it was. So you're going to still rent. But if your motivation is, if you're working from home and you can afford less, if you don't want to pay as much as $3,200 for a one, by the way, that's for one bedroom. And then you can just go buy a 3-bedroom, 2-bath home for $500,000 outside the city and work from wherever. I think that's going to give them motivation to buy, but not necessarily in the city. So the city could be hurt by this. And
there's one part of our state in particular that is feeling the effects of this, and that would be Northwest Arkansas. And they have had a ton of people from California moving to Northwest Arkansas right now. It happened again in 2006 and 2007. We called it the California effect, because they would come in and they would look at a $300,000 to $400,000 house and say, wow, I can buy this. I'll take 2.
Yeah.
And so it increased the prices in Northwest Arkansas pretty high in 2007 and 2008. That was right before the crash.
That's our fault. Sorry. But I saw one the other day, Jessie Friend, our mutual friend. She's in Arkansas there. I think, where's she? Northeast?
Hardy. Yeah. She's in the northeast.
Yeah.
Part.
So a lot more rural, but she showed a probably, I don't know, $140,000, and it was like 3 acres, beautiful house.
Yeah.
And you're just, I mean, essentially like a ranch for $140,000. And it's not just like here, you couldn't even buy land for that. Like,
you're just going to go an hour or two to Starbucks.
Yeah, but as long as you can work from wherever you can get, if you can get service out there.
Right. If you can get internet out there.
But so here's the other thing I want to add to Mike or Elizabeth Rodell's point. So remember, though, that's just San Francisco. Nationally, it's up. Rents are up 1% to $1,200 and something. So
it makes sense that they would see an exodus and it would increase rents elsewhere. But I could also see increasing home purchase elsewhere, like you were saying.
Absolutely, especially into lower markets where, and a lot of my buyers right now are going to the more fringe markets where things are still in the $300,000 range, $400,000 range, which for us is the lower end of the market. And you can just either commute an extra 15 minutes or you can telecommute and work from home,
Let's talk about John Legend. I
would love to talk about John Legend.
I haven't seen him in a while. But
I've seen him in those commercials.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Is it a car commercial or I don't know what it is?
I think so.
He has a great voice.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to know. Legend, I haven't read this story,
Houston
by the way.
Association of Realtors fix the real estate problem. That's not exactly that. That headline is very kind to how he worded it. Here's what he said. TMZ says Texas realtors will stop using the word master to describe bedrooms and bathrooms. John Legend retweets and says, real problem, realtors don't show black people all the properties they qualify for. Fake problem, calling the master bedroom. Fix the real problem, realtors. So,
okay.
Before going into a lot of other topics, or the rest of the article that could lead into other topics, let's just focus on this one, because this one has been all over the interwebs. And I'd love to hear what the people who are watching now think of this. Of course, it's been a delicate issue. It's one that we're intimately acquainted with as realtors. I've never not shown someone a property because of their color. Half the time, I have no idea what color they are when they're talking to me on the phone. But
Yep.
I know it has happened. And what happened with this post is that people posted it in various realtor mastermind groups. And it seemed to be like you had two camps. You had one that was like, he's just telling realtors to not be racist and you guys have a problem with this. Right? That was one camp. The other camp was, we already have rules to fix this issue. It's called a code of ethics. Okay. I agree more with John Legend than I agree with either one of those camps.
Right.
We did a report. We didn't do the report. We reported on a report that was, you remember this? That was talking about when agencies in the Northeast that weren't showing people properties and stuff.
Yeah, it was like a real thing. Yes.
Yeah. And it was like an in-depth 3-year study. And there was definite different treatment against minorities by real estate agents. And those real estate agents were on camera, like they had them on camera for 3 years doing this stuff. And a lot of them, it wasn't a one-time issue. It was over and over and over and over. And one of the things we said at that time is everyone has to have a system, and you just follow the system. And the system works no matter what color you are. And the system works for the clients no matter what color they are. And it's a good system to help people buy a house. But there is one camp that I agree with that talked about John Legend. They said it's probably been a minute since he used a regular realtor and bought a regular house somewhere. But on top of that, there's this one comment that I saw and it said, hey, John Legend, fix all the, how do you say it? He said something like, fix all the pedophilia and sex trafficking and everything like that in Hollywood. And then you could comment about what our industry is doing, right?
Owned.
I think that is what rubbed everyone the wrong way, or not everyone. I think that is what rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. Those who seem to be rubbed the wrong way that were saying, well, we already have ethics against this. I think the brass tacks was, here you have a guy that is using his fame, his platform to attack realtors when a lot of realtors don't operate that way. I mean, I've never operated that way. I treat everyone equally. And so it was somewhat offensive because he's lumping me in with everyone else. However, it is an issue as that study showed.
Right.
So I do want to say that he came out he clarified and he said, it's not everyone. I know it's not everyone, but it needs to be fixed. And a lot of people, I don't see it in this article in particular. But he did come out and talk maybe in another interview about saying it wasn't everyone that said this or that needs to hear this. It's some. But I also agree with him that the master bedroom thing, I think is
fake problem.
It is a fake problem. I think people call that virtue signaling. Isn't that what that's called? I don't know. I get confused with all the terminologies that we're supposed to know.
There's too much. It's a Band-Aid fix is what it is. Here, look, we did a thing.
Fix. Like someone else said, we'll call it the owner's suite. Well, what do they own? Like, is that a slave owner's suite? Like you can't. And it's just a very delicate issue, I know, but I never thought about it in that context. I always thought that it came from someone being the master of a house, which is an old English term for the person that owns the house or that kind of commands the home, not necessarily an owner as far as slave ownership goes.
Yeah.
So I never even thought about it like that until someone mentioned it. Like didn't even cross my mind, but now I'm hearing it everywhere. Like an electrician has a master and slave switch, right? So are they going to change that? We have all these masterminds in real estate. You have to change that. Are they mind melds now? Like how deep is that stuff going to start happening to where people are afraid to call things what they have been for a long time? And should we have to change all those things?
Well, so here's the thing. I'm up for change, especially if it's warranted. But the reason I call it a Band-Aid fix is if it's fixing a problem that's not really a problem and not addressing the real issue that Mr. Legend is trying to call out, and I think as you said, he expanded on it. Then what are we addressing? That's why I call it a Band-Aid fix. It's just a thing that says, hey, look, we did something about it, but we're not really addressing the big issue, which that story was a year ago. The one with, no, it was this year, wasn't it? With the rampant, like literal straight up.
Yeah, that was like beginning of the year.
Straight up discrimination that was recorded over the course of a very long period of time. And multiple realtors were doing it in multiple ways and in multiple instances.
I wonder what the
we need to address that problem.
Some people got fired for that. Surely they did, but
I mean, you have to, and it has to send a message. This is why we cover these things on our world famous show here at the Bearded Men and Real Estate Show. It has to send a ripple effect. It has to be gone. And I think Mike or Elizabeth Rodell says it the best. We just follow the script.
Yeah.
You just, a lead comes in. I follow up how I always follow up. I check in if they're ready now. Then I say, hey, let's go talk to a lender, or hey, let's schedule an appointment to see your home and we'll list it next week. Like it's fairly straightforward,
right?
And I think it just could be super.
She said it was the end of this year, so I guess the end of last year on Long Island.
On Long Island. See, she's a cheese toaster, so she knows it's on Long Island.
Mike Elizabeth Rodell said, I could care less if I need to switch terminology to be less offensive, and I don't have a problem with another industry calling out mine. Sometimes an outside perspective is valid. Take the critics, look at it, see if there's a way to make it better. If it is, adjust. If not, move on. Lee's.
I think she means less panties twisted. Not Leah's. She's not saying someone's panties.
French. Les panties twisted.
Twisted. No, we just offended a bunch of French people, right, dude?
Okay, so and we'll get to. Actually, I don't think we're covering that, but there was a KW agent fired for saying some stuff. I'm kind of probably the opposite. Like, I would love for if someone's like racist, or or if I just don't agree with what they say, I would love to let them say that as much as possible.
Absolutely. Let them just
who it is. Like, I want to know that this person operates that way. And eventually I think the capitalist market would eventually win out. But that's kind of a tough stance, I know, because it's offensive. But I would like to know if I'm about to use someone who's a closet racist and, has robes. I want to know.
Absolutely.
I don't use them. But now, if we silence it, I won't know. I'm going to wind up using them and supporting them, not on purpose. So that's one perspective. But the other is definite. I understand an industry as a company. If somebody says something that's racist or something like that, I'm getting rid of them because I don't want them representing my brand. But when they're out on their own and there's nothing you could do to them, I want to know who those people are so I don't use them.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. And, I don't know, when you have an ethical mind, just as a human being, it's easy to work in this industry. And when you don't, you're going to cross some lines and you're not going to know why. And if you have a racist mind, just as a human, you're going to cross some lines and hopefully you're going to be weeded out and called out. Especially that's one of the good things about social media is that people share this stuff not thinking about how big the reach can be. And then they get called out, and especially if you share something in a group, you got to be careful.
Yeah. Speaking of, there's some other stuff. Is that next story or is that down the road?
It's the next one, the Social Equality Task Force.
We can bring that one up too and kind of talk about it. So this is a really interesting story. If you've ever been to KW training, Keller Williams training,
which I was with KW, I did Bold twice. So this is part of their Bold training, which Bold is a section of KW MAPS. MAPS is their overall training program, and then Bold is a sect of it, a portion of it. So
this is what story is on Housing Wire, which I'm surprised is not on Inman. Maybe I missed.
Yeah, well, hey, maybe it is. Keller Williams Social Equality Task Force addresses unconscious bias after Facebook group controversy. When you're very refined like I am, you say controversy. Yes. Controversy erupted, and I really do say it that way. I can't help it now. Just like economist. In a Keller Williams Facebook group this week related to the use of terms monkey and monkey mind in Keller Williams bold pivot training session. So how it is used is don't listen to your monkey mind. And that's one of the phrases used in trainings that was published in its bold pivot website. The term monkey mind references a Buddhist concept related to meditation, but surprised some of the Keller Williams group when they encountered it in the context of the bold pivot training. So there's more on this, and I actually did some research about this because I'd heard this before. And what they used to use was your drunk monkey.
Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought it was.
Yeah, so drunk monkey was the little monkey that sits on your shoulder and goes, "Nah, dude, you're not good enough. Nah, you can't do this. They don't want to talk to you.
Yeah.
You shouldn't earn more money." It's all those things that literally you're like, whenever, because humans have this, not to get too deep into human psyche, but humans have this thing where you're like, no, I can do this. And then something goes, yeah, but what if you can't? That's what they're referring to. And I'm literally pointing to my shoulder, but in real estate, it's very tough because every day is a struggle for us. We have to go find new business. We essentially wake up without a job every day, and we have to go find new clients and new business every day. And a lot of days for me, it's, I don't take a day off. Every day I'm looking for, some new way to find new clients. And it gets to be a struggle where you wake up and you're like, dude, I'm tired. And then that's coupled with all the business that we're doing, and it gets very tiresome. So that drunk monkey can creep in. So that's a little history on it. But
I don't even know what it refers to in the new context that they're using it. Some kind of Buddhist.
Well, here, I actually did research on it, so I do know how they're trying to use it. So the Facebook group discussion generated hundreds of comments and included some agents who found that it had related terms, the related terms offensive, while others defended their use. Many of those disturbed by the phrase called on Keller to address, and I think they're talking about Gary Keller himself, to address the issue directly, since he had recently set up a task force, quote unquote, to come forward with recommendations for action to eliminate any racial disparity within our company, our industry, and how we can lead the way in the communities where we live and work. So I did look up, and I actually have it right here. Hold on, let me find where I put it. There's a bunch of tabs open. Where did Dan put that one? There it is right there. Okay. So monkey mind, and I think it's maybe their thinking behind it was this is the next evolution of drunk monkey. But because it says they pulled it from Buddhist philosophy. So it's it is a Buddhist term meaning unsettled, restless, capricious, whimsical, fanciful, inconstant, confused, indecisive, and uncontrollable. So
sounds a lot like drunk monkey.
A drunk monkey. It's just your mind is not settled. It's thinking about everything else. So I think to me, it's a bigger concept than. Now I need to find where Ray is again. Hi, Ray. I have like 87 tabs open. To me, it's a bigger the drunk monkey is just doubt. You can't do this. You're not good enough. Why would you do that? I don't want to talk to you. This is a bigger concept for the unsettled mind, for well, if I could just check Facebook real quick, and then I'll get back to what, the calls that I'm supposed to be making. So to me, it's a bigger concept. And I'm the first to admit my naivete when it comes to this stuff, but I'm not understanding how this is offensive. I'm not.
I think
I want to ask, is this just,
I'm a white dude, obviously, but I think it comes from the days of old when people referred to black people as monkeys. And
right. But is that making,
and now you have Keller Williams in a training talking about don't listen to your monkey mind, but it sounds like they pulled it from Buddhism and
Buddhist teachings.
Buddhism maybe pulled it from Darwin.
Okay, so remember, and I don't know if I always go back to this one reference. Howard Cosell made a remark, and it got him in a lot of hot water back in the day. But he made a remark about, and I even hate to say it, and he didn't do this with any malicious intent. He was one of the most loving humans ever, and he was commentating on an NFL game. He said, "Look at that little monkey go." he didn't mean it that way, but that's how people took it. He meant he would call his grandchildren monkeys. It was a term of endearment to him because he loved so many humans. But I mean, he loved everyone, and he was a big friend and fan of Muhammad Ali. Like he was out there, you know, he was with the humans, right? But it was taken the wrong way, and he just felt so horrible about it. So, but I do understand why that got him in a little bit of hot water, even though his intent was different. This one, I don't though, Ray. I don't.
I think it's the same though. I think they have a totally different intent, and so they're putting it out there. And then how people take things is now going to be the reason for change. It's the perception.
Okay,
it's the reality.
But Cosell was referring to an African American person. This is more of a theory. And if you really know about KW trainings, you know, again, I started there because of their trainings, because you learn so much. There's a lot of thought and energy behind how they set up their trainings, not just, hey, these things work in real estate. There's psyche, and there's how your mind works. There's a whole bunch of energy put behind it, how to fix all these things to free up your mind where you can focus on being a successful real estate agent. So
I would say they are curators of training content.
Yeah, they
pull from a ton of different sources. They curate
absolutely
their real estate training. Like they pull from Jim Rohn, Brian Tracy, all those guys.
All of them. They pull from different sources. So pulling a Buddhist concept is just part of that, but they're not referring to any one type of person or race. And I don't know.
I think they just got to live with this is the day you're living in, where perception is reality. It doesn't matter intent. Used to intent was a big driver of
but there's not even an intent here. They're not even.
No, the intent is training, is what I'm saying.
Right. There's not even tongue-in-cheek references here.
Right. No. But I think it's just kind of the world you're living in.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, but
I did think the quote from Kimber Minkinty, Williams regional director, I think that was funny.
I kind of skipped over that because right there. If you want to bring that
Thursday, the monkey mind language appeared to be gone. Freddie, Keller Williams spokesperson confirmed housing market materials in question have been taken down. And then she said, "That's a constant evolution."
Right, evolution.
Get it?
I don't think she knows.
We're constantly looking for ways that material can be improved.
But let's see. Let's do focus on. They do have the task force, and it is looking for these things. So it is, to kind of jump off of what John Legend was saying. Something is in place for that company, at least, that they're trying to suss out these, to use an East Coast term, suss out these racial inequalities and make them so they don't exist in our industry.
Well, I think we need to make it easier for people to report. Like we need to make it easier for consumers and for real estate
absolutely
agents, for other real estate agents.
Anything. I mean, yeah. There's a ton of for our local boards. There's a ton of how do I say it? Of offenses that we come across on a daily, and there's just nothing you can really do about it.
All right. So let's talk about the recovery. Well, let me do this. Final comments on John Legend and Keller Williams and other stuff that's happening like that. I would say listen, learn, and love. Just find ways to listen to the other people, to learn, and then just react in love.
We've been summing it up for 3 years for you guys. Just do what we say, please. Jeez.
All right, so let's talk about a housing market recovery. Is it a V-shaped or is it going to be a W-shaped? So this is by Logan Matashami.
I've read this dude's article before. Articles.
Yeah, we've referenced him before, actually.
Yeah.
I think we referenced him when he made a prediction earlier in the year.
Yeah, he's good.
So basically, he's talking about the different recoveries and what people are looking at, and he has ways to avoid what we need to avoid a W shape. So flat to positive purchase applications. So he said we need to have flat to positive year-over-year growth in purchase applications for the rest of the year. Typically, total volumes of purchase application fall after May, which is why we need to focus on year-over-year comparison rather than look at month to month.
So big picture stuff.
Yep, big picture. The recent 18% to 20%, 18% and 21% year-over-year gains are robust. All right, credit flow. Credit needs to be flowing, functioning housing market. Frankly, got lucky, blah, blah, blah. He said under contract crisis conditions, the GSEs would be at a high risk for failure, and the government would likely be forced to take them back into conservatorship. So basically, he's just saying that the credit needs to be available and easy to get for the buyer, which currently it is.
But and remain and stay that way, because
Stay that way.
Yeah,
Right.
if it's a reactionary measure, then it won't work.
3 is to target 10 yield rates. The one area that we don't need to worry about is mortgage rates. Rates have been going low or at least below 4.5. Now, remember, we were talking about at the beginning of the year, the average was around 8 to 9% over the last 20 to 30 years.
Yeah.
And it's hovering below 4 right now.
Wow. Yeah.
For the 10-year yield, however, it would likely see higher yields because this would indicate the economy is improving. A 10-year yield above 0.62% bodes well for us in the future. However, if yields go lower than 0.62%, then the bond market is expecting more economic drama. So he's basically telling you what to watch for there. Decrease
And now
19 cases.
And by the W, he means that we had the decrease, then an increase,
Then a decrease.
then a decrease. So he's saying, how do we keep it on the V?
How do we prevent the other decrease?
The second V.
Right.
By the way, and this is a total side note, but I've never understood why it's called a W. That's obviously two V's.
Just
why isn't it a double V? I've never understood that.
Back in February. This is what we talked about actually when it was back in February about the COVID cases. He said we need a decrease in COVID-19 cases. Back in February, I predicted that we would flatten the curve of new infections by May 18th, which we did. So he gave himself a long arm prediction there.
Mm-hmm.
I am now predicting that we will get this rebound of infection rates under control before September 1st. Now, in my opinion, that's pretty short. This will require a lot more testing and common sense.
Common sense is key.
Together, we could be in a better place by September 1st, which is critical to get ready for the second wave that will hit in the winter months. A resurgence of infections nationwide with no concentrated efforts to lower the growth rate of cases could significantly impact our recovery. Let's see. Early signs of the W shape. So he gets pretty heady on it. If the fear of the virus prevents the buyers from looking and sellers from putting homes on the market, then the V-shaped recovery in housing could be in jeopardy. That's obvious, right?
Yes.
So I thought this was good. He said, I highlighted the whole thing. Can you see the highlights that I'm doing there? No. All right. If real estate professionals follow safe practices, there's no reason why homes can't be shown for sale and transactions executed safely. Our industry has a responsibility to make it its own. Mortgage rates to the rescue. On the bright side, we have potential for the stock market and economy to recover quickly, because even though the economy is suffering, we do not have a consumer credit bubble, not bundle.
Either.
Plus, inflation is low. Fiscal capacity to provide disaster relief to good demographics. So I thought it was a good article. It's on Housing Wire. You can read more details. You can also read more of what he wrote previously whenever we covered this. He's gotten a lot of his predictions right so far. In this one, he's talking about what people need to avoid. I mean, it doesn't sound like much of that except trying to not get COVID is in our control.
Yeah, that's the common sense part.
Yeah.
And he uses a lot of data that's current, and then he goes back years and years and years, and then he works his way back up. So it's pretty obviously crystal ball stuff, but he uses enough back end data to hopefully, at least help people see what they should do, at least try to prevent this double V.
Right.
Coining it.
I like it.
I like that we haven't had anything compelling enough to have a comment in 17 minutes.
Well, speaking of not compelling, we have 3 more stories that we're going to hit very quickly, and then we'll let you guys go after you all order a t-shirt.
You have to order a t-shirt, though. If not, we're going to hold you here.
We're just going to keep going. And the 5 people that are still watching, we'll hear it all.
Okay, so remember Sundae, Ray? I think I brought it out on the show. It was It was back when it seemed like every week there was some new
Yeah.
technology or whatever that was going to take us over. And Sundae was part of that. And they started in 2018. There you go.
I'm working my database and just listening. Oh, well,
See, she's not a lurker. She knows. She knows. She's also a contributor. And by the way, if you guys aren't a contributor, you can go join. Be more contributors, BMORE contributors with an exclamation point. We've only turned down 3 people, but they're all Russian operatives. So you don't have, hopefully you don't have anything to worry about, because we will do a background check on you.
Melissa Mara says she's just waiting on a new shirt.
Me too. I ordered mine. I think I was one of the test dummies to see if it worked.
Yeah. I did count it. So I'm charging.
Yeah. Okay, so I have to find it. Where is it? So Sundae raises $16.55 million for distressed real estate marketplace. And kind of how, I'll just sum up the article. Now, this is on Housing Wire if you guys want to go see it. Ray, do you have it up?
Yep.
Yeah. So they're a residential real estate marketplace that pairs sellers of distressed properties with potential buyers, and they've raised the 16 million. So they kind of, just to sum up the article, they kind of say that essentially they're providing a place for a niche market that hasn't been there since. So they're essentially claiming that they do a thing that's never been done in real estate before. But my question is this really a new thing, or are they just a fancy website with a fun name? So I want to skip through. So notably, Sundae's co-founders has deep expertise in the real estate and mortgage industry. CEO Josh Stetch was founding partner and senior vice president of the sales at Lending Home. And then President Andrew Swain was CFO at Lending Home, and prior to that served as CFO at Airbnb. So they have ties in this. So the team paired up in 2018 to create Sundae, like a banana split sundae. Let's see. So, I mean, we don't need to get into how it works, but Sundae essentially aims to aggregate demand from fix and flippers who use the marketplace to bid against each other for distressed properties. So now, this is a quote, although our process drives a better price isn't really what people are solving for. They mostly want a better process. They're already under stress having to sell in the first place. And it does mention here, so distressed properties, they don't necessarily mean, Ray, underwater properties. They don't necessarily mean, you owe 500 and it's only worth 400. They don't mean that distress. They just mean the house is in disrepair and you don't have money to do those repairs. So they pair you with essentially investors. But now I have 2 questions, Ray. So if I have a house that's in disrepair, there's still a market value for it. I just need to find a realtor that's going to find that market value and get me the best offer. And then and if it's in really bad repair, then it's, it has to go to an investor and they'll do all the work. But so there is already a market for it. It's just market value. If your home is a 5.5 or 6 out of 10, sure, it's a little bit rough, but there's a lot of buyers that want to live and flip, so to me, there's already a market for it. And then B, if you're getting a bunch of investors to bid on properties and push up the price, that helps the seller. But investors don't want that. They want the best deal possible. So won't that minimize their impact for that seller?
I think it's somehow just making it more, it's improving the accessibility to the item, which if real estate agents were doing their job, it wouldn't be needed. Michael Riddell said, are homeowners the ones that are signing up for this, or is it just a mass default list? Homeowners are signing up for it. So the way they're contacting them is probably through the defaults. Like anytime someone gets a notice of default or something like that, which just means they're actually late on the payment. Right. Anytime you receive something like that, they're probably getting another letter from Sundae, and they're lead generating on homes that are about to be or that are distressed.
And oftentimes, if you can't pay your mortgage, then you can't upgrade or update your home. So
it's just basically putting it on auction.com, but it's different.
Right. And it does say, where is it, Ray? So since sellers in these situations don't typically have the funds to fix up their properties before selling, Sundae lists the property for them on its platform. There, it is visible to about 1,000 qualified off-market buyers. So but if I list your property, it's visible to millions of qualified buyers.
I only have like 26,000 in our database. So, all right.
No,
So
I'm saying all the push you get out through Facebook and through social media and through Zillow and your database, which is 26,000.
interesting.
But they only have 1,000. And by the way, where are they doing this? What cities are they doing this? Because 1,000 in one city is pretty cool, but 1,000 across the nation.
I wonder if you could repackage what a realtor does and put it in front of a VC and raise 16 million.
Absolutely. Just do exactly what we do, but give it a call it Fun Day. There you go.
This is what we're going to do. And this is how we do it. And it's literally just the job of an agent.
Instant offers.
You can get a VC for 16 million. All right. So we did want to quickly. Let's see. Michael Elizabeth Real. So Sundae is a brokerage working short sales. Yeah. It's kind of like that. I don't know if they're a real estate brokerage because I think they have a percentage of ownership in the properties, which is how they sell them. But so they don't have to be a real estate brokerage for that.
Well, let me see. I want to look it up. Sundae official site.
So I wanted to mention that Fannie and Freddie Mac are offering multifamily forbearance options and tenant protections. So they're extending the tenant protections that they already had, and they're offering additional protections for landlords. So this is the first that I've heard of this. There's 3 different options they could have. Let me read those to you real quick. Let's see. 3 additional forbearance options to assist with multifamily borrowers who have been impacted by COVID-19. Those options extend tenant protections, and the options include delaying the start of repayment period following forbearance, an extension of the repayment period, and an extension of the forbearance period with optional extension of repayment period. So that's it. I just want to share that because we've been talking about, I think we even talked about it on the show. There was another article saying, hey, what protections are out there for landlords? This is one option. So
yeah, we've been wondering about this for quite some time. So it's interesting that once again, they finally listened to the Bearded Men of Real Estate.
Yeah, they're late on that one.
What have you guys learned? If you just listen to what we say, everything will be fine.
Yeah.
And listen, learn, love.
Mike Elizabeth Riddell said, call us Friday and make a long list of services that will cost more than what we normally charge.
There you go.
Yeah. And then we charge that for 10%, you can use us. And here's everything we'll do.
Do you love the weekend? Well, call us here at Friday and we will provide you.
Everyone loves Friday.
Right.
All right. I can take this last one too, Dan. We also wanted to mention, be careful out there. So just a reminder, there's an agent attacked at an open house. She faces a long recovery. So don't do open houses alone. Find a lender, find a title company, somebody that can sit there with you, a friend, another agent or whatever. Just be careful.
Especially, and I think this was more rural, so just be careful about out there. And just because there's not a current story that we're all thinking about, just always be careful and have someone do those open houses with you, or take part in the newfound virtual open houses that many agents are having success with, and
that's a lot safer,
but obviously this is an unfortunate situation, but she is out of the hospital and she has a long recovery, but she's doing well and her friends and family are happy about that.
There you go.
Yeah.
So Dan, I just want to mention one more time, this is the last day
this is it
to order the Listen, Learn, Love shirts. We're going to be confirming orders tomorrow and then putting in everyone's order all at the same time. So today's it. Please get in your order. I posted it in the comments. So get in your order today and share it. There's also a post on the Bearded Men of Real Estate Facebook group. And if you could share that, that'd be awesome. But today is the last day.
So go order. You should feel that pressure of not being a cool kid and go order one, because all the proceeds, 100%, go to good causes.
There you go. All right, Dan, where can everybody find you?
D Letter Rocks, DLUDWIGROCKS, everywhere. Where can they find you? Razorback. Oops.
Razorback, RAYZORBACK. And I have a new video up. Y'all should go see it. I made a little, obviously having a remodel, which is why the office is in disarray.
Is it the one Razorback? Is it the one I commented on?
Yeah.
Dude, it's so good. It's like not even 30 seconds. It's a very quick video. It's perfect.
It's 28 seconds. So yeah, it's good.
And he's just so happy. I won't give it away, but he's just so happy.
So there you go. Go check that
really,
out.
really, really silly, fun little thing. And he's just so happy with himself.
I'm pretty excited about it.
It's so good. Yeah, it's not only did I do a cool thing, but I made a video about it. And look at this, it's
I
amazing.
think we're gonna start doing the other little video tips and tricks and things like that we're learning, in our own house. So, see, Melissa Mara, she said it's cute and it's genius. Well, there you go. I felt like a genius. I got the basic idea off of other people, but hey, it's a fun.
Well, genie, and your new drink idea, another genius thing.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is so good. Apple spice tea and Fireball. That was so good.
yeah, Ray came on during my 2.5 hour live on Friday night,
just for like 2 seconds to tell everybody what I did,
just to let him know he felt good about it. But anyway, we love you guys.
Bye.